This is really where you observe users in their natural environment. If you are watching them, you can gain tremendous insight beyond really what a user would even describe to you. The Genius Bar at Apple stores was actually created because of them doing field studies. And they realized that customers didn't actually just want to buy products. They were coming in with a ton of questions and they needed assistance and guidance. And so they introduced, this concept of the Genius Bar, and subsequently it's become actually a central element of the Apple Store design and their overall customer service strategies. To find ideas, find problems, and to find problems, talk to people. We can learn much more about user needs and goals, obviously. We can understand what their pain points are. We can actually get specific feedback on feature sets or specific features. We can also learn about the environments or situations in which users actually use your product. What do they anticipate they're going to get from your product? So there are 3 types of user interviews. We have structured interviews. The second are semi-structured interviews, which are a mix between structured and unstructured. And then of course there's unstructured interviews, and these are more just open conversations. The better you prepare for interviews, the more you get out of them, right? How many interviews do you actually need to do? This is a question that always comes up, right? And I think the really good news is that you don't actually have to do a ton in order to gain amazing insights. If you're getting to a point where you start to hear the same thing over and over and over again, you're actually reaching a saturation point, which means that you can stop doing those interviews. For large discovery projects, you should be interviewing anywhere between 20 and 30 people. For smaller discovery projects, you really only need to interview between 5 to 12 people. And I myself have found a sweet spot between 5 to 7 people, actually. And so the whole point of prototyping is to create something that people can react to. It's seeing it kind of makes it real. Now that you have your product, what do you do? How do you get feedback on it? Usability testing involves observing users as they actually interact with your product. The best time for usability testing is after you have your initial designs, when you have your lo-fi or your hi-fi prototypes. A cognitive walkthrough is you just put your user's hat on, you interact with the product as if you were a user. Unlike that, where you're using yourself, you can also use an expert or a technical review, which is also known as a heuristic evaluation. And so the goal here is to uncover problems that might impede user satisfaction and efficiency. Card sorting, how users mentally structure and organize information. Really, the right time to do this is before you design your information architecture and your nav, right? Your navigation is so critical to the way that users interact with your product. Tree testing is another tool that you can use to make sure your information architecture and your nav really make sense. What does it actually even mean to be usable? There's actually a few different components that we need to pay attention to. So how easy can users complete tasks the first time they are in your application? How fast can they do that? How easy can a user return to the task after they haven't been in the application for a while? So do they forget how to do something? What people say, what people do, and what they say they do are often entirely different things. It's really, really important to watch them actually interface with your product. So there's 2 types of usability tests you can do. The first is qualitative. The second is quantitative. Can the person complete the task? How long does that take them? How many errors do they make in going through that task? You can moderate them, or they could be unmoderated. And then of course you can do these things, in person, or you can do them remotely. So for qualitative studies, you should plan for a sample size of 5 to 15 people. And for quantitative studies, you should plan for more than 20.
Having a splash page that I can build quickly, get people to go through it, kind of break it, say what they like, don't like, then take that information, mod that up, and then send that to the dev as the reference to keep working with.
Yeah. Figma's perfect for this. You can stitch together a prototype, and then you can share the prototype link. I think it's your best bet, and I think their free plan is pretty amazing.
They recently launched pretty sophisticated and developer section, so you can literally export code for developer. That's really convenient if you interact with. And also they really improved their prototyping, so you can literally create animations, simulate the experience that will be closer to the reality.